Today we're going to discuss about the approval process. So similar, like so far we have seen some of the automation flows, right? Like workflows, process builders, and flows. So all these are like automated actions, and some of them are having a schedules and different options as well. Let's restrict to automated actions. So all these automated actions, when you do something on your records, like when you do some operation, if you want to perform some automated actions, like updating the other fields, or like updating a child records or a parent record, or creating a new records, or doing a task, or doing a chatter post, or doing custom message or email notification. So any of the actions you want to perform. But if we have a business requirement such that if we are asking for approval, the thing was it should not stop you from doing the change, but once you make some changes, it's need to be visited or reviewed by someone called approver, and based on his review, either he can approve or reject the request. And you want some automated actions based on the approver action and the submitter actions. First of all, let's draw how a approval process will be, and what are all the features that we can configure in a approval process. First of all, we'll understand what is a business requirement that we can use or implement a approval process. So let's say I have an object where the information will be filled from end users or different users, and that needs to be reviewed by some set of people, or at least one person. And once it is everything fine, I want to add some comments and approve the thing. And if I'm not satisfied, the approver has to reject it, and he can add his rejection comments. And I have to notify, like whenever the new request is submitted, the approver has to be notified. And once some request, let's say a business scenario, we are applying for a job, okay, a job application, okay. And once we applying a job application, so you will fill all your information, and it will go to a HR. So he will review all information. So he will be having a job description. First of all, what he will check was whether you're having a valid profile or not, like your qualification, and your experience, and your domain, like which area you're having expertise. It will be some checks. And the second thing will be whether it will be suitable for your role, or like what are the role that you have applied or not. And if it is all matches, then he will approve for a next level, like a scheduling an interview and all. Otherwise, he want to avoid to schedule the interview. So he want to reject the profile. So the candidate is not matching the required position, or any other reason, like what are the reason that he is rejecting, then he will reject, so that they can save time of the scheduling an interview in the for the interview panel. Okay. So is it something clear for you, or any questions here? And now let's say you have submitted some request. Okay. So what Salesforce will have a features is, once any record is submitted for an approval, nobody can change the record. Like you are the owner who was submitted, you cannot change any longer. So whatever the information you have given, till the approver sees it, approves it, it will be locked. And so it's called a record locking. So in this record locking, submitter cannot change the any information in that record. First thing, this is called a record locking. And when it will get unlocked, so let's say you thought like you missed some information and accidentally you submitted. So what you can do was you can do a recall. That means, so once you submitted, so you want to recall it and you want to withdraw from the submission, and you can make, so it will be, the record will be unlocked, and you can make your changes and you can resubmit. Okay, first thing. First thing is select object. Where you want to set up approval process. First thing, first we have to select the object. Okay, and once you have selected the object, once there is a record is created, and there will be a submit button available once you set up the approval process. Okay, okay, then whether you can submit it for all the records, no. Define the criteria for approval process. This is the criteria means, like let's say you have job applications, and not all job applications need a approval, because some of them are like freshers, so that does not have something to validate. So all who are all passed out, they can apply. So we don't have some validations or approval required. So we have a condition that if they have a experience more than 1 year, then only it's need approval. Then you can add that criteria for your approval process. So you have, once you have created the record, so when you do a submit for approval, it will be allowed only if the record is meeting the your approval process criteria. So here in this case, if you have the years of experiences more than 1 year, then only you are allowed to submit for approval. Okay, that is the thing for the criteria one. Okay, once the criteria is done, what is the next action? Once the criteria is done, we will do a submit for approval. So once you have submitted for the approval, what you have to decide here? So who will be the approver? There are different options. Like either submitter can choose the approver, or you will be defining while creating your approval process itself, like who will be the approver for the so and so record. It could be like manager in the hierarchy, or you will be having a dedicated group of users called a queue, or it could be a single user who will be always approver for the this particular approval process. So you can define in your approval process. So based on what you have defined in your approval process, either it will ask for approver, or it can directly take it as success. Okay, now once you do a submit for approval, what will happen? So first thing was record locked, first thing, so that submitter no longer can make changes. Then thing was initial submission actions. Initial submission actions. That means whenever the record is submitted for approval, what are all the list of actions that you can do? So approval process is a different version of a workflow only, or a combination of a workflow, so you can say. So what are all the actions that you see here? we can perform the actions that we have in workflow. Like we have four different types of actions, right? So here, if you eliminate the outbound message, you'll have only three actions, like sending an email alert, creating a task, and updating a field. So all these three actions you have available to add actions. When usually, like what the initial submission actions will have, like notifying the approver. So and so record is in queue for approval. So please take an action, or take please do approve one thing. And you will be having a one field where you will maintain the status, like pending for approval, or pending, or you can make a status, and you can update the status as a um, whatever the value, whether pending or pending for approval, in queue, whatever you set, you can update the field status as so and so, so that they will know it is waiting for the approval. Okay, once submission is done, what we can do, either we can recall, or it could be approve, or it could be reject. There are three possible scenarios once you have submitted for the approval. So we have to define all these three possible scenarios. Okay. Once you have recalled, that means you want to take back the record. So what will happen? The recall actions. Recall actions, whatever the actions you define, those actions, like all same, like field update, email alert, creating a task. This can be, you can configure in a recall actions. And what will happen? It will, some of them are like standard, some of them are like whatever we configured. It will be unlocked. What will be unlocked? Record will be unlocked. Record will be unlocked once you do a recall. Please let me know if you're not able to follow and if you have any issues. Okay. Now, if the user is not recalled, okay, then if the approver do approved it, then what you want to have? What will be action is approve actions. Once the record is approved, what are all the actions that you have defined in a approve action that will execute? And second thing was unlock the record, or like record will get unlocked. Record unlocked, done. Similarly, reject. Reject also have a same thing, but only difference is instead of approve, so whatever you have in a reject actions, that will be performed here when the approver is not approving, and if he is rejecting the record, then that is the thing. Okay. So next thing was, okay, any questions so far? Okay. Now, what the other things will be now is, so I have a multiple approvals. Let's say you have some kind of a project and it has to be reviewed, and based on the project, it need a multiple approvals. All application, it need multiple approvals. Like once you have a scheduled interview, okay, so they are approved for a first level interview. Okay, done. Next, so at the same time, you have to submit some documents. Okay, so that the documents will be verified by a different team. So whether you have submitted a proper documents like your experience or it could be your pay slips or um, your certifications, all that has to be verified for from a different set of approvers. So what first initially what they do was they'll check the information and see, okay, this has been the profile is good, we can schedule the interview. So second thing was what they do, they will decide whether we have a supporting documents or not. So then only they can schedule it. So what they do, once the first level is approved, it will go to the second level where they will do a next level validation and whether they will approve or reject. So what will have us from each step, that like each approval step, you will be having a approve action, reject actions. And once it is approved or rejected, based on this action, it will go to a second level based on your configuration, how many levels you configure for this approval process. If you have a second level, then again you will be having a step two, approve and reject. What will be the actions? And based on how many steps you have, what will be the final approval actions, final rejection actions? Okay, so similarly, how you have approve and reject, you will be having a final approval and final rejection actions. Okay, now let's say I have a two steps and one got approved and one got rejected. And then what will be the result of the final approve and final reject? That also you can configure in your approval process settings. That's like unanimous approval required or at least one approval required. Then you can consider it as a final approved. So when you selected a unanimous approval, if even one step is rejected, the final result will be a rejected. And when you say at least one approval is required, it will directly go to the, even if it's one approval is done, it will do a final approval actions. Okay, so this is all about approval process. Let's take a look and how it will be and do it. Okay, reject actions, fine. So any questions here? I don't hear anything. Is it clear? Able to follow? Now here, just I'm already logged into the org. Okay, so the same thing here also. You have to go to a wheel and setup, and here you need to search for a approval process. So approval process you see here, you will click on approval process. And here we need to carefully observe, like most of the people will not understand. So here you see, right, in this dark color, you'll be having a option to select the object here. So here, when you go first time, you don't see anything options like this. It will be blank page and you see only this dark color ribbon. So here you have to select which object you want to create a approval process. Once you select the object, then you will be showing the below option. So here you'll be having two options, use jumpstart wizard and use standard wizard. Okay, so both are same only, where you configure the navigation will be different, that's it. Okay, so I'm using a standard widget setup. Okay, so it will be step by step. So you have total 6 steps to configure. This is the first step. So what will give, Before I configure, just I will check what are the status I have in this project object. Project fields. Okay. Project stage we have. Okay. In the stage we have not started, approved, started, in progress. I will add a new called pending for approval. Okay, pending for approval is my new status. Okay, new stage, but I am not setting anything. Just I have created a one step. Nothing else I did. Okay, then and I want to reorder this one. So reorder. It has to be like before you get started, right? And approved, then get started. Okay, good. Now I have all stages required. So I'm just naming it as a project approval process. Okay, and doing next. So what is your entry criteria? This is also similar to how you have a workflow criteria, right? Like either you can create a field and you set the values, or you can do a formula to evaluate the criteria. It could be true or false. When your formula evaluates to true, then only it will be qualified for the approval process. Okay, but it will not fire automatically. You have to manually submit. Even the criteria is met, once you submit the submit for approval, then only it will start the process. Okay, it's not an automated one. Okay, now what I want to do. Okay, when is first project? So you want to approve only the first projects only. Okay, whenever it's the first project, and when the partnership is like something silver or bronze, then only I want to ask for approval. And then name, start, revenue, state, technology used. What is the field, the technology? Technology uses a multi-select value. Okay. Okay. When I have a apex, so instead of equal, I will say includes. When it's have apex, then only I want to ask for a approval. Okay. This is enough for my entry criteria, or a criteria for approval process. Okay. So specify entry criteria, done. Next one. So here, next automated approver determined by use approval field in the project owner. Okay, so we have a different options here saying custom new hierarchical relation field or a manager field. Give me a second. So if you want to set the approver automatically, like if you don't want to, the submitter has to choose the approver and you want to fix the approver, there's this option, the manager. What is manager was on the user object, you will be having a manager field. Let me show you that. So if you go to the users, so when you create the users, you will be having option to choose the manager here. So this is what it referred to, manager field. Let's say I'm making myself manager, my manager as a other user what we have a batch or team. Yeah, this one I want to make it as a manager. Okay, my manager is done. But for now, I'm not choosing this option. I want to manually select that approval by the submitter. Okay. Administrator only can edit the records during the approval process. Okay. So I was talking about locking the records, right? So even the record is locked, we have option like to edit the record. Like who can edit the record in the possible way is either only admins can edit the records during the approval process. Like when it is locked by the approval process, only administrator can edit the records is one option. The second option is administrator or currently assigned approver to whom it has been assigned. The approver can make changes to the records. Okay, these two options based on your business criteria, you can choose it. Okay, I'm selecting the both administrators or approvers can change the record. Let's say if they want to correct some information, or at least they don't want to reject and the submitter has to make the change. If they have a privilege to make the change and to do approve, then just they will make the changes and approve the record. So in those scenarios, you can choose the second option. Done. Going to the next step. So here, assignment and approval assignment template. So when the new request is submitted for approval, so the approver has to be notified, right? What should be the email template that has to be used for this one? So I'm just let's create one template quickly. Email templates, project email templates, new email template. Just using a text for now. New request for project approval. Okay. Template subject, new project for approval. Take a look. New project is waiting. Just I'm using a simple thing. Okay, done. And I want to make this available, then only I can see the email template. So I'm doing a save. So saying a new request for project for approval template. Okay. New request for project approval template. I'm using this one. Okay. The approval page is where approval will actually approve or reject the request. So when you have when the approver receives a request, what are the information that approver can see? Okay, I want to see like city and GST number is first project and office city and partnership. These are all I want to show. Display approval history information additional to the field selected above. Okay, I want to see that. Allow approvers to access the approval page only from within the Salesforce application, within the Salesforce application, or externally from the wireless enabled mobile devices. From he can where he can apply. Only they have to log into the Salesforce, then only they can approve, or they will get notifications, right? From there also they want to approve. So I'm just giving it from a Salesforce only for now. And then initial submitters, who can submit?